So you are facing an allegation of possession with intent to supply. That could be Class A, B or C drugs. Different types of drugs have different classifications. We'll consider those at a later date. Now, in order for the prosecution to prove its case, it must show that you were in possession of the said drug with the intention to supply. Now, breaking it down, in order to prove possession, it needs to be proven that you had knowledge and control of the said drug. As an example, you're stopped in a vehicle, the vehicle is searched, there are drugs found in the boot of the vehicle. Now that in itself is not an automatic conclusion that those drugs are in your possession. It could be that you borrowed the car, it could be someone else was using the car, it could be that you haven't been made aware as to what is in the boot. There are a number of different circumstances that can apply. And as I always say, each case is considered on its own merits. No two cases are the same. Even if it can be shown that you're in possession of the drug in question, the next issue is the intention to supply. But the primary piece of evidence used in cases these days is mobile telephones and the content of that telephone. There are separate issues as to the admissibility of certain evidence, and that is a consideration for a separate day. One way the police try to prove the case is by showing regular contact on the telephone with known user numbers. When I say user numbers, I mean people who use drugs. There can be certain payphones, certain numbers which the police are already aware of in other cases, the content of the phone book within the phone, the way in which numbers are saved, the text messages, if they still exist, the content of those text messages, the advertising of drugs, the request for drugs, the sale, the prices of drugs. There could be arguments as to the fact that the telephone calls, which are short in duration and irregular in number, is proof, at the very least circumstantial proof, that that phone is being used as a drug dealing phone. But it doesn't just stop there, because the police would still have to prove what's known as attribution, i.e. that it is you who has been using that phone. It is you who owns that phone. Even ownership in itself is not sufficient. It's the fact that who has been using the phone. In such circumstances, the police may rely upon cell site evidence. And cell site in itself is a huge subject. And again, we are simply discussing matters in general. And it is in cases such as this, again, that you require a legal team that has experience, a legal team that knows how to consider the evidence before it, a legal team that knows how to be critical of that evidence, how to test that evidence. Because it's that testing of that evidence which will have a real effect upon your case.